Nobody in their right mind would choose to be transgender. The heartache, the pain, they lose jobs, they lose family. It is the most difficult process ever. My name is Diane, I'm the founder of Chrysalis. Everybody who comes to Chrysalis is either seeking to identify their gender or is transitioning from one gender to the other. That means they have to unlearn all the things they've learnt to survive in their birth gender and relearn everything that they will need to live in their destination gender.
My name is Sammy Joe and I will be 21 next month. Well, I identified more strongly as transgender in the last 2 years, where I was finding myself more. And I'm on this journey at the moment, which has been quite interesting for me.
I'm Joanne, and I live in Southampton. I live with my partner and our 2 children.
I'm Tony, and I'm a trans man. I've been going to support group meetings for a few years now, and I've been on hormones for a year.
I'm 38. I've sort of transitioned once, then stopped, then transitioned again. There's not really much to tell about me. I try and go out as much as I can, so I like coming to Chrysalis, my transgender group. That's good. Gets me out and about. I'm trying to build up a social group of friends and family, like-minded friends at the moment, but it's a bit difficult.
I'm Martina, I'm 58. My partner died 2 years ago. She knew that I was transgendering years ago, accepted it all. My 2 children accept it. I've always actually worn my sister's clothes when I was little. So I've always been this way, transgendered, and always wanted to be female.
My name's Chris, I'm 28 and I'm a chef.
I'm Cassie Barnett, and that's my name. I changed it in 2009. I have 3 children and a wife who are all as supportive as, well, they really are supportive actually. And that's about it really, I just get on with life.
My name's Stephanie, I'm 46 years old, and I've been a transgender person all my life, but only recently have I had the courage to follow my conviction and be who I want to be.
Now the correct pathway would be for a GP to make a referral straight to a gender clinic, and the gender clinic would make the gender dysphoria diagnosis. Because it's no longer classified as a mental illness, it no longer has to be diagnosed by a psychiatrist. So they set up the pathway and then notify the GP, who will do most of the prescribing. Once they have fulfilled their obligation of living in their destination gender for 2 years, then they can be considered for surgery.
The first time I went to the doctor, she was quite dismissive of it. She asked me quite personal questions that I didn't feel were relevant to what she needed to know.
I went there and he said, this is the worst thing he said to me was, why are you wasting the surgery's time? I'm like, wow. You know, I was feeling nervous enough as it was, and then that happened.
It was 6 months between visits, and I really had to sort of get my confidence back before I went back again.
He literally just made me feel like a waste of time. He even said I was a waste of time. I'm like, thanks.
When I was still at school and I was talking to my parents about transgendering, I saw a doctor. They tried to talk me out of it then, so it went off.
I first went to see my GP Originally, about 10 years ago, his attitude was basically, can't help you. I was sent away. That was it. I didn't do any more for another 5 or 6 years until it all boiled up again.
The GP I had back then was very unhelpful. At the time, I didn't know the law or the codes of practice myself, so I wasn't really able to do much about it.
So I had to literally tell him what I was looking for out of this time, which was, could you please refer me to a psychiatrist? I've heard, this is a step to take. I need someone who will help refer me along. And I think he said that was it, just go, basically. And I quickly stood up, I didn't even say goodbye, I just...
Went to see a different GP, but the same surgery, and his attitude was totally different. He said he'd do some research to find out how to refer me, and referral I got.
I spoke to my GP about it. I attended the GP as Alice, pretty much outright. And so despite all my medical records being in my male name, she still addressed me properly. And she told me to... she wanted to do some more research into the correct pathway for me to follow.
First time I went to the doctors, afterwards I saw a lady doctor, asked her, and she was very helpful, gave me all the information, gave me the leaflets on Chrysalis, arranged for my to see the psychiatrist place. Saw her a few times, she was very helpful.
I broke down, burst into tears. My GP was very understanding. He was supportive, he listened and spoke to me about how I was feeling and how hard it was to do what I was doing. So he made me feel comfortable in that.
I like to know what I'm talking about, so I did the research, and it took me a long time, but I felt it was worth it, because in the end I was able to give him the information, and he said, brilliant, we'll get you sorted, and he did. And he within 2 weeks I went to see a psychiatrist to have my referral made, and he was true to his word, so it was a much better experience the second time around. I think just the fact that he was willing to listen to me as a patient made the difference in the end.
I would like to see GPs and GP surgeries treat people with respect, listen to what they're saying, and if somebody comes to them and says they are transgender, don't dismiss them as being a nutter, but actually listen to them. Look up the pathway. It's there on the computer in front of them. It doesn't take 5 minutes. If somebody is presenting as male, address them as male, treat them as male. If someone is presenting female, address them as female, treat them as female. It just takes a little bit of understanding, a little bit of knowledge, of looking at people as individuals, not just a mass.
The main clinic for this area is in London, and it's very oversubscribed at the moment.
I'm a patient at Charing Cross, so I've experienced that system, which is creaking under the strain of more patients than they know what to do with. Off the top of my head, I think you're supposed to be seen within 16 weeks for your first appointment. I was seen after 11 months from my first appointment. I hear the waiting list is even longer than that now, running over a year.
The Equality Act gave transgender a strand of its own. Gender reassignment became something that people could actually aspire to do. I think that the gender clinics, not just Charing Cross, but all of them, must have quadrupled after the Act was put out, because that Act enabled people to take their life and say, I can do this. When Chrysalis first started, the waiting list for Charing Cross was somewhere around 6 months, which was bad enough, but you're now looking at 18 months to 2 years. They're trying to be there to alleviate, but they don't have the money. They cannot possibly see the amount of people that there are. They are so overwhelmed.
Recently, actually, they suggested, he said, I'll book an outpatient appointment to see me, and I've not had an appointment, and I've tried to ring them, I had no reply, so left messages, and I've now complained through the PALS team up there, which I've done on a few occasions before, and that's, in some ways it's the only way of getting contact with the clinic sometimes.
I wish Charing, it's difficult to say, I wish Charing Cross was quicker, but they're very busy. They have a lot of people on their books, and it's very difficult for them to get letters out as promptly as possible. But I've got used to that now.
I didn't wait, I self-medicated, because after 3 months living as myself, I just found that I couldn't handle being male-bodied any longer, and that would be completely unnecessary if people could be seen in time, and people who don't know and don't have good support networks to find out all the things that I've learned kill themselves or don't come out and live in, you know, depression basically for years. So it's awful.
When I first started Chrysalis, there was no information at all about self-harm, suicide, the effects of being transgender. So I went through my first 50 sets of case notes, and I found that every single person that I had seen had self-harmed in some way, and 45 of those 50 were either suicide survivors or had seriously contemplated suicide. That is a massive drain on the health service. It's very sad to say that if somebody who has become a part of Chrysalis and had our support is suicidal, it is normally because of the health service. It is because of the actions or inactions of their GP. And sometimes it is because of the length of time that they have to wait for referrals and treatment from the gender clinics.
The hardest part of transition is the social side of it, because you've got to tell everybody the most personal thing that you've been trying to cover up for years, and you just have no idea what's going to happen.
If you've got somebody who mentions that their family are unsupportive, then try to put them in contact with support agencies on the outside is a good idea.
The pathway suggests that they need counselling and they need support. The gender clinic aren't able to do that. Chrysalis does that. We do the best we can, but we're volunteers. We're not the NHS.
But it seems to be going really well so far. Like, the best step I said was come to a support group. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but just being here has really helped me out a lot, and I feel like I'm going in the right place. It actually feels like something's happening, something's being done. I really want to, you know, get moving now instead of just sitting around. I've been sitting around for so many years feeling this way. I'd just like to move along now with the whole process.
No, nobody chooses this route. It is something that happens. So anybody who is likely to come into contact with transgender people, CCGs, GPs, GP practices, city councils, Hampshire County Council, the wider NHS, there are some really, really good practices. There are some people that really pull out all the stops to help, but they're the minority.